it's ErnieCIII and welcome to today's video. Now, I was looking through my card collection and I noticed the Mortar. I haven't used the Mortar in a long time. In fact, it was my first max level card. So, I thought in today's deck building episode, why not give it a try in building a deck? So, here's how I laid out this deck. Already it looks pretty interesting. So obviously we have our win condition, which is the Mortar. Now, for this card, instead of choosing the log, I decided to use the Barbarian Barrel. I decided to use this because of the shorter range. You're not really going to need that long range for the log because the Mohr is going to be right at the bridge. Plus, you get a free Barbarian and the barrel does more damage. So, you already got that in check. We have Fireball, just in case they try and do something like Barbarians at the bridge, or they have a bunch of clumped up troops. You'll see in one of these replays that was actually very helpful. To keep this deck cheap, I'm going to use the Ice Golem and my favorite Swarm card, the Skeletons. Alright, you can see they're all pimped out in gold. My favorite tank buster in the game, which is the Hunter. And also, this is pretty interesting, especially for a Mortar deck. The Electro Dragon. Now, I'm thinking that if they're going to start clumping up a huge amount of troops, especially if they start to panic, they're going to start to clump up like a bunch of troops. I'm going to need to have the Electro Dragon to zap all of them away. And also, you'll notice in this deck that, or you'll notice in the replays, that the stun mechanic also had a huge benefit as well. And also, we have the Tesla. Now, Tesla and Mortar, when I was using this a long time ago, it was amazing. They tried to fireball both the Mortar and the Tesla. It didn't work because the Tesla's underground, and it was just a great defensive card for its cost. So, checking over the replays, the first round I lost. However, the next four rounds, I was able to win 4 in a row. So, as usual, I'm going to show you guys 2 wins and 1 loss, just to get you guys aware of how this deck worked out. So if I'm going to choose right now, I'm going to pick, for my first win, I'm going to pick this one. The dirty Hog Rider, Furnace, Barbarians, and Elite Barbarian deck. So, we actually have a pretty good starting hand. I would have probably preferred to have, instead of Fireball, I probably would have preferred to have Skeletons, just in case. Now, this was a small mistake on my part right here, was using Ice Golem to soak up those Fire Spirits. I immediately recognized that those Fire Spirits were too low of a level to actually jump on my tower. So already I started to see that he might be up to something. So I'm going to put my Electro Dragon in the back, and that was actually very helpful, because the Electro Dragon is going to take care of everything. Now if you put the Mortar in this placement when the Hog comes, the Hog Rider goes into the Mohr's blind spot and will just ignore the Hog. In fact, if the Furnace wasn't there, the Mortar would have actually locked onto the tower. And I'm just going to let this sit here. The Mortar actually uses its last breath, or its last patooey, to shoot out and damage that Electro Wizard. And I just use my 1 Electro Skeletons to clean that up. And I don't even need to worry about his Fire Spirits. But what I do need to worry about, though, is his Furnace, because that's going to get in the way. So what I'm going to do is I try and time it almost perfectly to make it so that it kills the Fire Spirits and also lands damage on the Furnace. We got it down to half health. I think we're doing pretty good. So now is the time when the Furnace is starting to die out and I got to get my Mortar prepared. He puts his Mega Minion in the back and I decide to go on the other lane. And I do kind of a minimal defense to see what he has. And I use my Hunter to clear away that Hog Rider. But what actually surprises me is that he has Elite Barbarians too. The Mortar actually lands a shell right on the Elite Barbarians, and along with my other troops, we just clear them out immediately. So even though the Mortar dies right here, the Hunter's actually going to land some good shots actually. He actually lands 2 shots. For a short range, usually he doesn't make it on time when he has low health. So that was actually pretty good value. And so far he's done almost nothing to our towers, so that's pretty good for me. Of course, and not for him. So 60 seconds left. I started pressure with the Mortar. His Furnace is going to be in the way. Oh, we got Barbarians, and we actually get to Fireball. That surprised me. We fireballed everything away and everything died. I actually thought the Mega Minion was actually going to live. But so far, we are keeping it up in defense. We are keeping everything top priority. I know that my Mohr is going to die, so I'm just going to defend with my E-Dragon. And we just keep going. You want to try and get your Mortar down as much as possible to keep up your how do I say this, your cycle, and to keep up the pressure. That's what I'm talking about. We even now's the time when we include our Tesla too. Fireball all that away. I mean, if if the enemy fireballs your barbarians, why you should just wait until the fireball's gone. Or he should at least just split them in the back, or well, in the center of his base, so that it could distract it a little bit. But look at this. If you look at the tower damage difference, it's miraculous. It's almost like our towers are invincible. And well, I think you get the Mortar is a pretty dirty card. But look at this. I wasn't gonna fireball this at first because I thought my E-Dragon was gonna take care of it, but he added in an Electro Wizard, even though I had a fireball. What was he thinking? What was he thinking? But I really don't need to care about that because I'm gonna get a win. At this point, I decided to fireball the Ferns. Now, what about those barbarians? Aren't they gonna really decimate you? Well, actually, I'm going to use my Electro Dragon and my Barbarian Barrel. He doesn't have enough elixir to use his Elite Barbarian, so I didn't need to be worried about that. And we just keep placing down mortars. I think one of the dirtiest things about the mortar is that because it's so cheap, that as soon as it's destroyed, placing down another one as soon as it's destroyed it's just filthy. And I mean, even so, the mortar itself is basically a fireball machine, or a fireball generator on a tower. And look at this, we got perfect. I mean, what else can you say about this deck? I'll show you more replays right now, but this is actually, when I first started using Mortar, I was able to get immediately to 4,900 trophies. So if you want to give this deck a try and you want a deck that really works, I strongly recommend this one. So for this battle, I was thinking I'm waiting for him to make the first move, but I do have skeletons, so I could just cycle those in the back, and it's not going to be a pretty big deal at all. At the same time, he's also going to decide to just zap the tower just so he can cycle to his bats. Although the first thing he's going to use anyways is probably his prince, until I put down my mortar. Now, mortar is actually okay to use in the beginning because you can use it as a test. When you use your mortar in the beginning, you don't want to overcommit. You want to like put down your mortar, put down your Tesla and all that, because if they have one big counter, you just wasted all that elixir. So you want to put down a lone mortar until they put down something to use. Also, look at this. He just used this log right here. He used this log, and he already used the zap on the tower. And I was able to straight immediately pull that prince, and he's dead. All the while, our Electro Dragon is still damaging the tower after our mortar just decimated it. Another great thing is that with the mortar's high health, even if the Mega Knight were to jump on that mortar, the mortar is just going to ignore it and start firing towards the tower anyways, which is so beautiful, but so damn dirty. That's pretty much the reason why I stopped using it. It's just, it's such a dirty card. But if you really want to rack up trophies fast, I really recommend this deck. So right here, what I'm going to start doing is I put down my Electro Dragon here because I wanted to stop the Dark Prince from charging, but also because I want to start a counter push, and also so I could kill those 3 goblins right there. Perfect 3 in a row. Now watch what I do here. I'm going to put down my Tesla right here so the Mega Knight jumps towards my Tesla. Is he within the mortar's blind spot? Will he be? I think so. And right there, we even use our Hunter to take care of the Mega Knight too, while he's aiming towards the Tesla. And I actually, just in time, put that Ice Golem right there, so that the Prince would start landing damage on it instead of my Hunter. And even then, it's miraculous that my Hunter was still alive for that long. My Electro Dragon's gonna stop and clean up that Prince. And look at the same theme you can see right here. Almost no tower damage done on our side, and we have heavy tower damage done on his side. And he actually made the mistake of putting his Electro Dragon, or his Inferno Dragon, behind the Electro Dragon because the electricity still bounced off and reset the Inferno Dragon. This is pretty much just a straight win from here. He tries to pressure with his Dark Prince. I use my Barbarian Barrel to take care of that. But as it didn't work, I'm also going to use my Ice Golem. I really don't need to worry about all that damage, because it means it's not really going to do much. And then just as a goof, I put my my mortar on the left-hand lane. This is pretty much just good game from here. Now, I want to get to the first loss of our... I want to get to the first loss and show you what I did wrong and how you can improve upon countering this certain deck. Now, this deck doesn't really have an archive, or I mean, archetype. That's what I mean, not archive. I'm getting ready for Overwatch in April. But the only archetype this deck is kind of within is, it's kind of within minor. it's a minor deck, but it has so many supports clumped up that it was weird. So watch what I do. This was scary because I couldn't put down my skeletons because the baby dragon would have just gotten rid of all of that. So I did this maneuver right here to pressure everything. I probably should have put the hunter a bit closer. I was probably a little worried that the hunter was going to get decimated by the prince. So watch what I do here. I kind of really don't want that miner to land any more damage, so I actually use my barbarian barrel, and then I follow it up with my mortar. And even just that little amount of health will save me some time if I need to react. I'm gonna let this one die though. I did my testing. I'm gonna set up my Tesla in the center. I'm gonna let this one die. Not gonna overcommit. Also, look at this. Straight fireball value. You know, even though skeletons are 1 elixir, I mean, it's not really wasting elixir. I actually didn't really need to waste those skeletons. I could have just fireballed everything immediately. Unless, if I were looking back and I was like, oh no, I have my fireball next in cycle, I need to cycle my skeletons, which that would have been appropriate. Here comes his, also, does anyone else find it so satisfying? Like, the barbarian barrel is not as satisfying, or I mean, the log is not as satisfying as the barbarian barrel. It just feels like it's more satisfying when you kill troops with the barbarian barrel. So right here, counter pushing with that hunter, which actually leads to a very, very well result. He's going to use his prince. At this point, I'm not really going to sit here and try and defend that mortar like crazy. I'm going to use my skeletons now that that baby dragon was distracted, and we clean that up very well. Now again, this deck is really weird because it's like half of it is filled up with support troops that don't really match up, and the other half is just etc. So I was thinking about using my mortar to land a shell in the tower and the musketeer, but that just would have been a waste for now. So I'm just gonna sit here and defend this. Just straight up defend this. Fireball all of that right there. And luckily he put his miner right in the spot near where my hunter was actually at. Now, this gets actually pretty crazy to where he's gonna start overcommitting like crazy. So, and he actually even deploys a second musketeer. So I try and put down my electro dragon right there. What I probably should have done is I probably should have waited for everything to come forward a little bit, and that way I've not only could have more elixir, but I could have actually set up everything on my side to defend against. Now, this gets a little tricky because I'm completely out of elixir, and I almost have no miner counters. And I actually have to pull those skeletons to the side. We're actually doing a bit fine right here. I don't remember exactly what led to my death in this one. So, we're just going to wait right here. I'm going to put my mortar in the center because I know he's going to start just throwing troops at the bridge like crazy, so I want to defend against that just a little bit. I don't know if anyone saw in News Royale the other day that there's a meme where it was like the mortar lands just behind someone or just out of reach of someone. Now, instead of using my fireball, I wanted to see if my barbarian barrel and the mortar shell could take care of this, because after all, crown tower wise, it's like a fireball machine, but not regular damage wise. Now, I want to see what I did here. I think this was a bit tricky. I was thinking about fireballing this, but at the same time, I wanted to use my barbarian barrel. But I had, this is the part where I probably lost, because I had no prince counters at all, or at least any prince ground counters. I probably should have set up more buildings. I should have even just risked it. I should have even had my mortar and my Tesla on both sides. I knew I was going to lose right here, but I wanted to just give it one last shot. He's going to finish off with the miner anyway. But I want to give it one last shot by overcommitting everything on this side. Because if you even have this much tower damage left, you can actually pull it off. It is actually possible to pull it off if you're going in like crazy. Obviously, you don't want to do that in the very beginning, though. So, I really recommend this deck. I strongly recommend this deck, even more than the other one. The other Goblin Giant deck was great, and it still is great, but you guys gotta try this deck. It's, as long as you watch this video, it's simple to learn, easy to use, and will rack up a bunch of trophies. So, thank you all so much for watching. Please try out this deck, and let me know in the comments how it goes for you. And tell me about that good win streak you got, or if you went on that RG and Elite Barbarian streak, which, I'm sorry, I will send you roses. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you later.